probably have an answer for you. Yo, how's it going, everyone? All right, so we're starting a couple minutes early today because I just got everything set up properly a couple minutes early. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you guys a couple moments to chime in here. Let me know where you are joining me in from. Just type into the comments, hey, I'm joining you from wherever. And I'm in Toronto right now. It's a beautiful, warm fall day. And I'm excited to be with you guys. So we've got actually quite a few people on the line right away, which is very unusual for this. So hopefully you guys are kind of like getting into the groove of this weekly show. And once again, this will be recorded, put up on my YouTube channel afterwards. So if you guys miss anything from this discussion, or if you have extra questions, then hopefully one of my 900-ish videos on YouTube can help you out. So I hope you're pumped. Hope you're having a great day. Let me know where you're joining me from. I'm just going to refresh my feed here to make sure that you guys can see and hear me okay. We're all good. We're all good. All right. So we got Yvonne from Poland. What's up, Yvonne? I don't think we've ever had somebody from Poland on these live hangouts, so that's pretty cool. And I'm just going to pull up some recent questions that have come my way, so I have those ready to go just in case we have a bit of a lull. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so I've got a question. I'm going to just fire things right off here, and we'll just jump right into this bad boy because I'm sure we have a lot to cover. You guys have questions you want answered. So let's do it. So I've got a question here from Heather Ward, who is saying that her tongue has a thick white coat for about 2 weeks and still has is wondering what that is. So on your tongue, if you stick your tongue out like that, if you stick your tongue out and you see like this really thick white coating, what that indicates is you probably have an overgrowth of candida in your body. And candida is not a really good yeast / fungus. Actually, it's more of a yeast than anything else. So it's basically an overgrowth of this yeast called candida. And basically it's not a good thing because it leads to all sorts of things like at a very overt level, really incessant carb and sugar cravings because candida itself like really feeds itself on carbohydrates and sugar. Then it can lead to things like brain fog, achy joints, mood swings, blood sugar issues, all sorts of stuff. So if you have a white coating on your tongue, then that's something you probably want to figure out. So I'm gonna give you guys a link to check out if you guys have sugar cravings. I'm gonna send you guys to a blog post that has a really, really good blog post actually, which can help you guys out with that. Okay. So there you go. So you should be able to see it in the comments. It's the 10-step blueprint for quitting sugar. Check it out. Really, really helpful for getting rid of that candida nonsense. Okay, so Jessica, how's it going, Jessica? Thanks for joining. All right, so she's saying, I'm not sore after my workouts anymore. Am I not doing enough? Well, if soreness is the ultimate goal that we're after, then probably you're not doing enough. But it's not the ultimate goal, right? I think, again, I don't know your history. If you've been working out for a certain amount of time, I'm sure you have been. Your body gets used to what you've been doing. So just because you're not sore after every single workout doesn't mean you're not making progress. One of the things, again, I don't know the nature of your workouts. If you're doing the same workout over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that's probably something you want to change up, right? So you want to add a lot more, very much like with your foods, you want to add more variety and rotation into your workouts. Because what that's going to do is it's going to stimulate different muscle fibers, different firing patterns in the body. And this is really important for just basic movement patterns, right? So for instance, if we're training our biceps, right? And if I'm just doing bicep curls like this, and this is the only exercise I was ever going to do, and this is actually not a good example because you would never take a dumbbell and do this. But let's just say that you were. If this is all we did for training our biceps, the body adapts very specifically to how it's trained. So instead of just doing this, you may want to change up and change the angle of your arm, get into some pull-up type of positions, use different weights, use different rotations. And there's a lot of different ways to add more progression and variety to your workout. So doing that may lead to a bit of soreness, but again, soreness is not really what we're after, okay? So I hope that helps you with that question. Daniel from West Kentucky, what's going on? All right, Virginia, how to beat sugar cravings, emotional eating. Well, there you go. So that post that I just posted in the comments, the sugar detox plan, just read that. And that's pretty much where you want to get started, okay? I'll just let the blog post do the talking for that one. Welcome to everyone. Hey, Michelle, how's it going? Good to see you. Sandra from Texas, how you doing? Okay, Michael Couture, what are your thoughts on the 80-10-10 diets? Primarily fruit, but vegetables as well with minimal nuts, seeds, minimal fat, and only in the evening. Okay, I'm just going to speak from I haven't actually gone through or followed the high fruits 80-10-10 type of raw food diet. Again, just because I don't believe something is the best kind of approach doesn't mean that it's not working for certain people, okay? So for me, and I would never recommend a high fruit diet, okay? It just doesn't make sense to me based on what I know at this current time in my life and with all the research that we have to do that. Yes, there's a massive benefit to eating lots of raw foods. I'm a huge proponent of that. But I find that it's a very dogmatic way of looking at food where you're eating like a whole watermelon at once or 30 bananas in a day. And it just, for me, it doesn't make sense. And I've actually broken this down in more specificity inside our Super Nutrition Academy in the protein module where, we don't need as much protein as we think we do. But if you're eating primarily fruit, again, unless you're a massively active person, okay, that's in those cases, I think there may be some validity. If you were somebody following a high fruitarian type of diet, you must be very active. Because if you're sedentary, all of that fruit is gonna really cause some issues in your body. I have no problem with fruit, but the trouble is that, remember, when you're eating a copious amounts of fruit, you're getting a lot of fructose coming into your body. And fructose does not elevate your blood sugar. Glucose does, which is also in some fruit or all fruit. But fructose is problematic because it needs to go through your liver to be converted into glucose to be used by the body. But the problem is that your liver can only convert so much fructose at once. And in that process, it starts spitting off fat droplets. And these get stuck in your liver and they can lead to something called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and trickle out into your bloodstream to create VLDL particles, which are the most, sorry, I just had a little thing come up here. The most dangerous type of cholesterol in the human body is VLDL, very low density lipoprotein, and it increases triglycerides. Okay, so that's generally what happens if you're consuming a lot of fructose, usually in the form of like sugary beverages, fruit juices as an example. Fruit generally not an issue because you're getting a lot of the fiber in, but if you're consuming copious amounts of fruit on a daily basis, I would presume that's going to be an issue for a lot of people. The other thing too is that a lot of people, without really knowing it, deal with fructose malabsorption, which is basically a digestive issue where they can't really absorb or digest fructose appropriately, so they end up getting gassy and discomfort in their abdomen or in their stomach and digestive area. So I don't believe eating solely fruit is a complete diet. You're limiting not even the protein. Like, just talk about the fats for a second. Okay. The fats are massively important. They're integral components to every single one of the cells in your body. So by saying, no, you shouldn't be having fish oil or hemp seed oil or flax oil or algae oil or coconut oil or butter or whatever the oils may be, or the fats may be, I don't think that's a responsible recommendation for most people. Right. So that's basically my point of view. And yeah, but it's a good question. Thanks, Michael. All right. Once again, guys, thanks for joining me here. Ask Yuri Live every Wednesday at 12:30 Eastern Time is when we rock and roll. The attendance is continuing to climb, so thank you, Valentina. Word up, representing Canada. Apples make my stomach make a lot of noises. Should I stop eating them? So Lauren is asking this. So it's a good observation because apples and pears actually have the highest fructose to glucose ratio. Okay, so I talked about fructose being a little bit problematic for some people. You're going to feel that if you're eating a lot of apples or pears because they have the highest amounts of fructose relative to glucose. So if they're making your stomach a little bit, noisy, That, I don't know if that's exactly the reason why, but you can see if you get the same thing with pears. If you do, then you might have a fructose malabsorption issue. I don't think you should stop eating them, but maybe, you know, taper down a little bit if you don't feel good when you do so. Agnieszka, would you recommend a highly raw diet for Hashimoto? Not necessarily. No, I wouldn't. I don't recommend a high raw diet for most people unless that's going to work for you. Unless you live in the jungle and you're getting most of your produce locally, that's going to be eaten raw. Then that's awesome. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition that attacks the thyroid. The important thing to remember here is that you really want to heal the gut. Okay, so you need to be healing your gut to close and seal all of those leaky kind of pores that are allowing bigger food proteins and particles into your bloodstream, which are causing the issue in the first place. So yes, eating more raw foods is very, very beneficial for your health. Do you need to be 100% raw fruitarian vegan to enjoy better health? No. Is it beneficial for Hashimoto's? I don't specifically think so. There may be some cases that I'm unaware of, but again, I would still recommend a quality whole foods diet where you're still focusing on getting in some good healthy fats and proteins to give some building blocks to help repair the gut lining as well. But with that said, I would still focus the majority of our foods on plants. So I generally recommend 75% plant-based, 25% animal if you want. You don't have to be animal. You can absolutely get everything you need through plants alone. So again, that's up to you. But again, I would not suggest eating solely fruits, you know, till the end of time. Barinder, can you please advise from melasma? I'm not even sure what that is or what the question is, so I'm sorry about that, Barinder. Maybe if you want to specify exactly what the problem is, that would be helpful. So Laura, no problem with pears. So again, it may not be a fructose thing. It could be a specific thing to apple. You also may want to consider testing different types of apples. So I know that I don't do well with, well, I don't like Royal Gala. I just don't find that it tastes good. My favorite is Honey Crisp, but I don't do as well with, I think, Pink Lady or Fuji. One of those apples, I start to notice a slight sweatiness in here in this kind of like rosacea-ish area. And that's a symptom of a food sensitivity perhaps. So you may want to try different apples and see if you react the same way. Pigmentation, Barinder. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I don't know really how to answer that question. Melasma, pigmentation, I'm not too familiar with it, so sorry if I can't answer that. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Okay, let me refresh the feed here, because again, for whatever reason, I don't see all the questions listed at once here, which would be super helpful, right? It's not like, for whatever reason, it's not like a normal Facebook post. I can see all these comments afterwards when we're all done here, but that's really not helpful for anyone. So if you have a question, just type it into your chat. Type it into the chat below this video, and hopefully I'll see it's in the next like couple seconds. So yeah, all right. Sorry, I was just scrolling down my feed here. I noticed we had a new blog post, how to get rid of thigh fat for good. So for you ladies especially who are dealing with some of that cellulite, the back of the thighs and glutes, check that out. It's a really, really good post. I don't know if you guys have, if you guys are not currently checking out our blog on a daily basis, you absolutely must. We're publishing new content every single day. The link is, right above the video here, yurielkaim.com. And everything from delicious, healthy recipes that take less than 15 minutes to make, that are allergen-free, low in sugar, taste amazing, to simple workout ideas, to kind of like the 101 of different health issues. Basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to make health and fitness simple again, and actually delicious as well, because a lot of the stuff we do recipe-wise is awesome. So check it out if you're not already on a daily basis. Okay, Agnieszka, what kind of activity would you recommend for a person with Hashimoto, and would you recommend iodine for the skin? So if you've got Hashimoto's, iodine by itself is not going to do much, right? You need to be supplementing with something that's a little more complete. If you're using iodine, it needs to be paired with selenium. But more specifically, that's going to be like a cherry on the cake type of thing. You really have to be healing your gut. So a gut healing protocol is probably the most important thing you can do for Hashimoto's, as well as any other autoimmune condition. Should you cut out gluten long term? the less gluten you have, the better off you're going to be. Let's just put it that way. There's no nutritional benefits to having bread or wheat in your diet other than the fact that we just are accustomed to eating it. So if you can, you're going to be better off without it. Okay, Johan Swartz, speaking to you from Amman, Jordan. What's up? Start off with your veggie smoothies first thing in the morning, and it does make a good difference. I follow a healthy fat, low healthy carb, makes a huge difference. Combine the above with planking for getting rid of tummy fat, and get moving and eat correctly will get rid of all that high blood sugar for sure. Cool. Thank you for that insight/success. Matt, what's up? Thank you very much, my friend. You are awesome as well. Even though I don't personally know you, that's not a very sincere statement I just made, so I apologize for that, but you're awesome for being here. Let me just say that. So if I knew you in person, I'd be able to say you're actually awesome, but I'm going to say you're awesome just for showing up and being here, so thank you. Does bovine milk give you cancer? Can you imagine that as a blog post, like as a headline? Bovine milk causes cancer. It'd be like outrage. Nothing directly causes cancer. Right? Everything, it's very tough to definitively say cause and effect in the human body. There's so many moving parts. There's so many intricacies. There's perhaps a correlation. Okay, that's pretty much the best I can give you on that one. Steve, do you recommend creatine for strength training? The only time I recommend creatine, which is very, very rare, I actually don't recommend it to pretty much anybody unless you're an athlete or like a skinny guy who needs to bulk up for whatever reason. Creatine is going to help you recover between bouts of high intensity activity. So when I played soccer, I actually experimented with creatine in my early 20s and found that not only did I put on about 5 to 7 pounds of mass in 30 days, I was also able to recover a lot quicker from my training. So for instance, as a goalie, a lot of our training was sprint, recover, or short dive, dive top corner, get up and down. You're working in bouts of 10 to 20 seconds. And then the ability to recover from that very quickly is what creatine helps you do. So for like football players, rugby players, any type of sport where it's going to be a high intensity type of activity followed by a short recovery, maybe even tennis could be beneficial for that. Again, I'm not saying you should be doping with this stuff because in some sports it's actually not allowed to use creatine. But for strength, understand that creatine is simply going to help you retain more water necessarily. It's not going to actually help you bulk, or it's not going to help you put on pure muscle. It's going to help you develop a bit more strength, which in turn can help you build more muscle. But as soon as you stop taking it, you're going to notice that your mass goes down to where it was before, assuming that you haven't put on any muscle mass. So you can try it. You can play around with it. If your body already has, your muscles already have enough creatine stores, you're not going to see much benefit from creatine. It's only for those who are low in creatine to begin with, and the only way to really know is to supplement with it and see what happens. Alejandro, do you recommend drinking BCAAs pre and during a fast workout early in the morning? Okay, I'm going to give you guys another post to read. Okay, this is a really important one. This will answer all of your workout nutrition questions because this is a really important topic to understand. And I think there's just a lot of confusion about this. So yes, it can be beneficial. Absolutely, Alejandro. You can. There's some benefit to doing so, but I don't know if we need to fuss about it too much. So I just posted a link in the chat there. The Untold Truth pre and post workout nutrition. That's going to give you everything you need to know about what to eat and when to eat it around your workouts and whether or not it really makes a difference. And again, showing the science behind what all this says. Okay, so that will definitely help you out. Agnieszka, what would you recommend for gut healing instead of bone broth? I hate the taste. I'm not much of a meat eater. 70-80% of my diet is plant-based. Just get a collagen protein powder. Again, obviously collagen is not going to be plant-based. But that's probably what you're going to look at doing. You also want to look at some fish oil, aloe vera, probiotics, obviously. Trying to think what else on the plant-based side. And then obviously you want to avoid the irritants, right? So the gluten, dairy, sugar, you want to definitely avoid those. And you want to reduce your intake of inflammatory foods, which are pretty much the allergenic foods that I just mentioned. Okay, so You guys enjoying this? You guys enjoying these live Ask Yuri hangouts? This is a lot of fun. I enjoy doing this. Here's the thing, guys. If you want me to do more of these, I can do these on a more regular basis if you like. It's maybe some different times. Share this. Okay, just like click the share button on your Facebook feed. Let your friends and colleagues know about this because I'm here to serve you guys. So if there's enough interest, and for instance, like let's say we have like 50 people watching this right now, and all of you guys share this, like 50 thumbs up, 50 shares, hey, then I'll consider doing this on a more regular basis. So if you want to share this with your friends, share it. Click the share button. It definitely makes a difference. I don't know your friends, right? I can't reach them. Only you can recommend this to whoever you think will benefit from this. So remember, I'm on a mission to help 10 million people by 2018. That's soon approaching. I can't do that alone. I need your help. Together, we can get more people involved in really helping them live a healthy, active life. Hey, Cindy from Lindsay. I'm struggling with menopause. I put on 20 pounds and I'm trying to lose it. I'm trying to eliminate sugar from my food except for natural food or veggie sugars. What can I eat at night around 8 p.m.? I'm assuming that's 8 p.m. I've been eating Greek plain yogurt with sunflower seeds, cinnamon, and a little bit of fruit. Can you suggest something else, or is this okay? Well, here's my question to you. Why do you have to eat anything at night? I want you to do a little experiment, okay? Try to have dinner and then don't have anything else afterwards. If you can get a 12 to 14 hour fast in, so between the time you finish dinner to 12 or 14 hours the next day and then have your first meal, you'll probably find it a lot easier to start losing weight. Okay, so it seems to me that there's probably some blood sugar issue thing going on here, because if you're getting late night cravings, that usually comes down to what's going on in the first part of the day. So if you're starting your day with dessert, breakfast, aka cereals, waffles, bagels, muffins, pretty much the typical breakfast you'd find pretty much anywhere, that's going to cause a ramification of events that's not going to be very good from a blood sugar perspective. And studies have shown that if we get our blood sugar out of whack early in the day, we tend to crave things later on at night. So start your day with at least 20 grams of protein in the form of, like eggs. Well, bacon's not really, everyone loves bacon. I wouldn't really consider it a nutritional food, but it tastes good. So eggs, a protein shake, some degree of protein in the first thing in the morning that's going to keep your blood sugar stable. And you'll probably notice that within a few days, you're going to notice a big difference with your tendency to crave food after dinner. So try that out. I would recommend not having anything at night after dinner. And just you're going to sleep a lot better. Hormonally, things are going to work better. And that should help out with hopefully with the menopause stuff. Okay, so Barinder, just asking about plant-based foods here. So what I'm going to do, guys, is when a question comes up like this, I will recommend that you read something on our blog, because it's just a more complete answer than what I'm going to give you. So Barinder's saying that the majority of his diet's plant-based. So for protein, what else can he eat? So I've actually written a report on this called The Protein Lie, because we think we need more protein than we do, or that it has to come from animal sources, which is completely false. So Barinder, read this post that I just posted. That should really help you out. Agnes, okay, hey Yuri, I began fasting, no more breakfast a few days ago. How long can I do that? As long as I want, or just a definite period of days, weeks? Thanks and greetings from Switzerland. Cool. So intermittent fasting is awesome, and there's no contraindications to it unless you have massive blood sugar issues, or you have hypothyroidism, or you have severe adrenal fatigue, in which case you probably want to start your day with some type of protein-ish breakfast. But I don't typically have breakfast until lunch, so my lunch is my breakfast. So typically, like if you think about breakfast, the word break fast, whenever you have your first meal would be your breakfast, right? Even if that's dinner. Massive health benefits to intermittent fasting, okay? There's really no issue with doing it. What I would recommend is you can do a couple different types of intermittent fasting. You can do a full 24-hour fast where you'd have nothing to eat for a whole day, and I would say you do that once a week. Or you can do the 12 to 16-hour fast, which is basically you have dinner and then you fast for, let's say, 12 to 16 hours the next day. So typically that would leave you ending up at around about lunchtime to have your first meal. There's no problem with that, because the thing is, When your body is constantly being fed, you're constantly in a carb/sugar burning state. Your body is never allowed to reduce insulin and rely on your fat stores as a main fuel source. So by not eating, you allow your body to be like, okay, no food's coming in. Let's look at how we can regulate blood sugar and break down fat stores more effectively to keep us going. So there's tremendous benefits to doing that. And there's really, from what I know from the research that I've done, very, very little contraindication to doing that. So try it out for yourself. And if it works, then that's what matters most. You're welcome, Barinder. Thank you. Vivian, what foods can reduce estrogen hormones? Not so much foods, types of foods you want to think about are high fiber foods. Okay, so flaxseed, chia seeds, those are probably two of the best ones. What they're going to do is they're going to increase the fiber in your body. Fiber is going to bind to excess estrogen floating around, and it's going to remove it out of the body. Okay, so the problem with estrogen, especially a lot of women nowadays, is getting something called estrogen dominance, where there's too much estrogen in the body because it's just being broken down and not gotten rid of appropriately. Part of that has to do with the liver. So you definitely want to be following some type of like clean eating program to make sure your liver is clean, because if your liver is clean, it's able to metabolize all that excess estrogen and help get rid of it more effectively. But fiber is going to be very important. So chia seeds, ground flax seeds are really important. And then just a higher plant-based diet. So getting more vegetables and fruit in is going to help a lot as well, because they're higher in fiber and they're going to help remove that stuff. And they're also higher in some of the phytoestrogens, which are very, 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 very insignificantly tiny estrogen-like molecules that are going to start to displace the heavier duty estrogen in your body. So that's a pretty simple, in theory, approach. Then it's just a matter of putting it into practice. Leanne, you mentioned adrenal fatigue, how to help this and balance cortisol. Good question. Read this book. Okay, get this book on Amazon, at your bookstore, whatever. This is my New York Times best-selling book, The All Day Energy Diet. Specifically in here, I talk about how to eat, how to exercise, how to live if you have adrenal fatigue, thyroid issues, and how to basically double your energy in 7 days or less. So I would be doing myself a disservice if I try to explain it to you here in like 1 minute. Get the book. I think it's in paperback now. It's probably like whatever, 12 or 13 bucks, but it's awesome. We've helped, I think, over like 75,000 people with this program alone. So that's what I would recommend. And you'll get some really good kind of protocols and stuff for cortisol in that book specifically. Margaret's, am I okay on the all-day fat burning program to eat root greens as well, turnip, beet greens? Yeah, you'll be fine. Absolutely. Remember, if there's a list of food and it's missing one thing like rutabaga, then just be like, okay, rutabaga is kind of like this one. It should be okay. So that's my goal for you guys, is to just empower you to be able to make the best decisions possible with what you have and what you know. So turnip and beet greens, totally fine. Okay, so it's 12:55. Normally I'd be shutting this bad boy down, but because you guys have been so amazing today and because this has been a very large attendance, I'm going to go for another 2 minutes. Then I've got a call at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to have to jump off. Teresa, how can I reduce cortisol? Well, again, read the book, okay? But stress management can be very important, okay? So stress management can be, well, let me ask, do you know that you have high cortisol? Or do you think you do, right? Because if you have low cortisol, then you're most likely going to be experiencing the effects of adrenal fatigue. If you have high cortisol, it's going to be very different. So you need to know exactly where you're starting at before you can look at what you should be doing. So for instance, if you have low cortisol, you could be looking at things like ashwagandha or licorice root, which actually delay the breakdown of cortisol in the blood. So it actually stays in there a little bit longer. So it's important to know where you're starting, and you can basically just do a salivary hormone test, and that'll give you a really seamless printout of your cortisol throughout the day. Ideally, it should be high in the morning and then goes down towards night. That's pretty much the cortisol curve. If it's anything other than that, you probably want to look at, cleaning things up a little bit. Kathleen, any special advice for my 15-year-old son who's been recently diagnosed with type 1 diabetes? Just started reading your Defeating Diabetes kit. I want to experiment with unmodified potato starch with him. So, okay, so thank you, Kathleen, for grabbing that. It's a great program, and specifically for type 2 diabetics. That's why we wrote it. Type 1's a little bit different because type 1 is autoimmune, and it's basically where the pancreas is not creating and secreting insulin. So it's a little bit of a different animal. And to be very honest, I'm not really sure what to recommend for type 1. That's really not my area of expertise. I would work a little more closely with, well, I'm going to say your doctor, but that's obviously a very superficial statement because they're just going to put him on some type of med probably. Again, I'm like, anytime we're talking about autoimmune stuff, I'm going to go back to healing the gut, right? So really focus on like clean eating, healing the gut, bone broth, collagen, aloe vera, fish oil, to really kind of heal and seal that area. And hopefully over time, the body can start to rectify itself. Yeah, so hopefully that helps you out. Okay, guys and ladies, guys and gals, thank you so much for taking the time for joining me today. This has been a lot of fun. It's been a nonstop gun show here of question and answer. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time out of your day, out of your lunch, out of your dinner time, out of your evening time, wherever you are in the world, for joining me. Again, every Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we are here, Ask Yuri Live. And if you've enjoyed this, remember to share this on Facebook. Share this with your friends, your family, your colleagues, somebody who you think may benefit from this. Let them know about this so that they can enjoy this replay and then join us every Wednesday to help get their questions answered as well. So thank you guys so much. And as usual, we're going to finish off with the good old outro. Trouble losing weight? Need more energy? Want to improve your health? You got a fitness or nutrition question? I probably have an answer for you.